Hey guys, it's Holland Confirmed here again, and it's been a minute since I made a video regarding ZU or ZUPL, and a lot has happened since that week 2 roundup, and I'm sorry about that. I've just been a little busy, so I just want to acknowledge that, and I want to in this video go over all of the influential, just groundbreaking things I would say that's happened in the ZU tier since that last video, and then I'll talk primarily about some of the replays in the tiebreaker that we saw at the end of the week 5 thread. But anyways, if you wanted to know my opinions and thoughts on weeks 3 to 5, you could see this ZUPL top 20 replays and playoffs, and I'll link this into the bottom of the video. I know a lot of the audience has already seen this, but just as a recap, this will go over a lot of weeks 3 and 5 replays that I think were worth talking about as is. Not as in depth as a video for those weeks, sure, but I think this should, hold you over if you're really curious about that. But let's go on to, of course, the Xayah stepping down announcement. So this was pretty big. It absolutely shook up ZU and even ZUPL. Those last few games for us, the Delibirds, who had Xayah on our team. It's a big shame. Xayah was great for the tier, of course. A lot of people had a ton to say about this. Then, of course, there was the tiebreaker, which was it was amazing to see that there was a tiebreaker in every level, both for the playoff seed, and almost everyone besides the Basculins had a chance to make it into playoffs. So that was really cool and fun. I was happy for it because I was able to redeem my losing record and make it positive. I was really happy that we had this opportunity. It was close. Delibirds did great, tied, or I think maybe even only at 4th place. I mean, not the worst, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of suspense at the end of this week 5. Then there's also, of course, the Smogan or the ZU Classic tournament that was won by Kushalos. He just has just a little win post at the end of here. AB had something to say about it. Just cool because ZU Classic, or ZU Old Gens, I should say, really started to develop with both the tours that led up to this final tournament and, of course, in ZUPL. So I was just happy to see all these developments. Of course, Kuchalos still used that same ORAS team that he's always been using, and he won with it in this replay. I'm not going to go over any of these. I'm just going to kind of focus on the replays coming up. But the last thing I want to talk about is, of course, the open discussion about shift tree. So Ivigaro was one of 3 people in this whole metagame stage thread that brought up the problem of shift tree, and I decided to reply on shift tree's defense. And since then, we've had a lot more discussion from Union Cavichet in the Discord. We see more discussions. AB even bringing the discussion on to Swana, and a lot of different arguments and ideas, and we'll probably, I would say, most likely see a shift tree suspect by the end of ZUPL. I think the console's waiting to make an official statement or decision until that's all wrapped up. And if you want to know the thoughts on ban shift tree, or keep shift tree, or why is shift tree healthy, I think my post, Ivigaro's, UC's, there's a lot of good points all around. I love the discussion going for this. I do want to admit something, though, is that I consider myself to be a little bit of a contrarian. So when I saw the growing dislike of shift tree, I think just like the inner lawyer or debater in me just wanted to go on shift tree's defense. It's kind of why I titled that as well. and see how I could argue for Shiftry to be good for the tier, because I admit there's a lot of bad things about Shiftry. However, while taking Shiftry's defense, I did find a lot of things that maybe do not qualify for the persecution that it's been getting. So I would advise to read both sides of the argument, make your decision. I know by the time the suspect test comes in there, I'll look in to see what my own bias says, because again, I tried to be in an unbiased lens when I looked at defending Shiftry. I just wanted to open the discussion, defend Shiftry, and then people would come back and, prosecute Shiftry some more. And that's exactly what happened. It was a lot of good discussion. I know a lot of people, I'm sure, have witnessed it or heard these arguments, and I'm just hoping that through this public discourse, more people will be involved in an up-and-coming suspect test and be able to adopt some of these opinions and come to their own conclusions as well. And that's the beauty of it. But anyways, let's get on to the replays. So this was my match against TJ and the Swanas for the tiebreaker. The first match for that matchup, where I brought a sticky web team and TJ brought a little bit more of just kind of a standard balance. So my thoughts going in here were that Simisage and Marowak here are an incredible offensive core, and there's a lot of ways, and they destroy stall, absolutely destroy stall, and I kind of was expecting at least one more stall match in my ZUPL run, because I ran into it a lot. So I decided to have these guys and back them up with sticky webs, which is something that I'm really comfortable in using, not only in ZU, but in really any tier that it's viable. And looking at the start of this match, I thought this was awesome. This is a phenomenal matchup for me. Webs affects his Scarfer in an Electivire. It makes his Combuskin more vulnerable to Pokemon like Swanna and Simisage even. Pawn against a ton, for getting defogged and +2 Iron Head off what I was anticipating to be Savali Dark. Great matchup on my side. There's some problems, like I don't have the best Combuskin switch in outside of Swanna. Like if Swanna goes down, Combuskin can be a problem, and we see that. And we also don't see a Toxic Spikes immunity, and that's kind of what I think TJ was going for. He said, you know what, I can live with rocks and maybe webs up, mainly webs up. So long as I get T-Spikes up, I could probably outstall this offense. I'm pretty sure that's what his opinion was, because that's what we end up seeing turn 1. I lead Shuckle because it seems to be free. If he wants to get rocks or T-Spikes up, I could trap that, I can encore that, and I can get my hazards up and I'm good. So, and Shuckle being so bulky, and I'm a huge advocate for Shuckle being the best sticky web user, your go-to on sticky web teams, and we'll see a good reason why one of its skills does come into play. But TJ just decides to go for sticky webs, and in fact he doesn't go for 1 layer, he goes for 2. So this would mean with these 2 sticky webs up, they don't show on the replay, do they? That's weird. Anyways, there's 2 layers of sticky webs up, and that would mean all of my mons are on a pretty tight timer. I don't have defog on this team. There's just no room for defog. So sorry about that little interruption, but we're back. And the weird thing about these plays is I don't know if TJ either knew that Shuckle had this combination of Infestation Encore. He probably did, but it's more so that it's a little questionable, because it does allow me to get both and put Mare in a bad position. By the 3rd turn of Encore, he still is locked in the T-Spikes here. And I have a few options as to say where I can make a dent in TJ's team, and I was thinking that I could go Pawn, I can get a Z Mirror move off, or just Brave Bird something, Shuckle still being very healthy, and it'll come in and be toxic, but that's okay. A lot of HP there, so we could still encore something. But I decided it was best to go Marowak. And I just figured because I can fire off a knockoff followed by Earthquake and just get a ton of damage against him. If he wanted to get a defog off, I could still come in Shuckle, now without T-Spike, now without being poisoned, and just set up again. Whereas Marowak is going to be best when webs are up, so I can outspeed Egg. So maybe Combusken's forced to go for Protect, so I can substitute on it. And at this point, it just seemed free enough to go for the knockoff, right? I'm pretty sure I went for knockoff. Yeah. Knockoff just kind of hit everything. So my suspicions about Savali Dark were right. I mean, Dark and Egg make a phenomenal core for balance or offense. And I got to keep the pressure up. See, this is what I thought it was weird. I thought he was going to defog, but it would mean, it's gone. Instead, he's just trying to get the right amount of plays off for Marowak. And admittedly, I don't think I played Maro right. I think TJ did a great job in these few couple of terms racking up that toxic damage. I'm just trying to rack up guaranteed damage. And, if I did make a play here, that'd be great. I'd be in a phenomenal position. But TJ does end up getting Maro. And I was thinking about going, I'm pretty sure I was thinking about going Shuckle, or not Shuckle, Poniard on the defog. I thought now for sure he was going to get it. But he decides just to stack my Marowak, which is fine, because now I'm in a great position, of course, for Swanna to get the setup off, and that's exactly what I do. +2 Z mirror move Swanna liquidation 2 KOs Bronzer. That's awesome. And the defense drop obviously does not matter. After 2 rock chips, I'm pretty sure it's like 95% guaranteed anyways. Even more so with the chance for defense drop. So Bronze ends up getting the toxic trade-off, which is fine. I'm in a good position because once Bronzer drops, I can get Brave Birds and Aqua Jets off. I mean, I'm at least getting one more kill. Bronze and another, and that would be a great trade-off because I still have Rocks and Webs up, and it's 4v4, and I have a lot of good mons that could finish the job. But he ends up trying to again outplay these liquidations and to get toxic damage. But this is the turn where I decided to make a play. I wasn't going to let TJ kind of outplay my Marowak. To an extent, this is kind of conditioning, because if I was making brainless plays, just trying to fire, hone in on the offense, then I become predictable. And that's what TJ was trying to do, but he himself eventually became predictable. This is the turn that I decided to get the Brave Bird off. So I got that. I guaranteed that kill. You would think I got one more left in me. Combusken gets the Protect off. That's guaranteed. I get a free. I still have another liquidation in the back. Toxic damage isn't going to kill. He sacks his Savali, and at this point, this is great news for me, because even though that Swan is going down, my rocks are guaranteed to stay. And what is really Bronzer doing? I have options. I have super effective options, and also just Infestation Encore for all of my team. So I thought sacking Bronzer was probably going to be his best bet, but regardless, you probably didn't realize Simi-Sage was knocked off, or this was Savali Ghost. I keep Swanna in the back because I know that if I have Aqua Jet, I can still revenge kill Combusken, depending on what it was. Maybe if you got more recoil damage, I can get that revenge kill. Or just have a fast Brave Bird or liquidation for Electrovire or Egg. And considering Protect was obvious, I think it was time to get Shuckle in. And all I really need to do is go for an Infestation Encore, and that will guarantee a kill. However, this is almost kind of a bad play, because now it means that Bronzer has the opportunity to go for Stealth Rocks. So even if I do trap and lock it into Stealth Rocks, I need to capitalize on this. And I do, of course, I know this is going really fast, but of course Bronzer does give me a free switch into Pawn. Awesome. Stealth Rocks eliminated Swanna, right? But it does put Shuckle closer into this Custap range, which is nice. And this is kind of an odd play, because at this point, Poniard is only at +2. Poniard's only afraid of his Combusken, right? Especially if a Violet. So why didn't he go into Combusken right away? Combusken's going to have to take a hit one way or another. He goes right into Egg, and this is just a sack for it. You know, I'm gonna keep pawn healthy. There's no reason to risk like a choice specs, leave storm crit, and I'm in a great position. So this is the thing. So Combuskin already took the hit. Knockoff, you know, it's hard to say if it was a misplay or not. If it was a violate, I would. I don't know if I would have got the kill. I think it's the same damage as Z move. Knockoff though would have been stronger than Iron Head here if it was a violate, but Iron Head, if it was Z move, would have. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it absolutely would have killed, and that's kind of a misplay on my part. I should have read the team and realized, well, he doesn't have a Z move user now. That egg was chlorophyll or choice spec, so that was again a misplay on my end. But still, I thought it was in the bag. Combuskin's too low. He would need to get a lot of good protects off, and this is kind of what happens. Gets the first one, that's fine. Shuckle takes another 6%. He gets the second one. This isn't good. And in any other position, if this was mental herb, you know, for example, to prevent taunt, I would be in such a bad position because now he could just flare blitz me, right? However, Cuss that berry is phenomenal. Get the encore. This is why Shuckle's so good, because any other form, any other sticky web user, I should say, would be in jeopardy of just being, you know, taken down by Combuskin at this range. At least Shuckle has this defensive traits and Cuss that berry that make it really good. So this is a tough position, but considering Protect does have a 66% chance to fail, I just need to get off a single hit, and this Savali with Explosion too will absolutely sweep. But he gets the second Protect off, and this is a big bummer because he's no longer encored, and I have to take a hit, which I do. But I mean, this was super dangerous because if this was a higher roll, and this did 4% more, and I wasn't in range of and I wasn't surviving stealth rocks here, right? I would have, Savali would have been fodder, and that's super dangerous. Speaking of fodder, though, I do go Swanna. Bronzer doesn't do much. It's fodder at this point, and here now that Combuskin was dealt with, a knockoff was free just for damage. I mean, Bronzer was going to die to rocks anyways. It was only 4%. Simi Sage should finish the job. Here's the thing, is that even though at this end here I do get a crit, Savali is max speed, and the way Sticky Webs works is, even with Choice Scarf, you get one Electrovirus at a speed tier that it would be at 316 after Webs. So my Savali at 317 would still outspeed. So even without this crit here, this crit leave storm for the win, I would have gotten the needed damage for a multi-attack just to finish Vire off. I would live rocks, don't care about toxic damage, and yeah, that was a close one. Again, this shows how Webs can be very good and threatening in ZU, as well as how to support it, where to find your win cons. TJ played well. I think there was a few misplays on his end, and really I could have played better, especially with the pawn Iron Head predicting. I should have known Combuskin was Z move there. Regardless, this was a good game. The other one I wanted to talk about in Sun and Moon was again TJ, funny enough, with Raven, because with this one I think we see, I want to exemplify just how good this Shiftry, Swanna, and Bufflin core is on offense, or in this case, it's a little bit more balance. It's still offense oriented. Where Rave has an interesting team, he decides to go Muck and support his water regenerator with Corsola, the other one in the tier that's not, Marini. And we see a lead from Rave with Rapidash, which is good because Rapidash does have a decent enough matchup. Like it can get off a Z move on the slower threats. Wisp obviously Shiftry or Wild Charge Swanna, Wisp buff. I thought this was kind of a weird play though, considering this is Savali Dragon. Why were you about to take a Draco Meteor? And I mean, I guess you could Will-O-Wisp or Morning Sun off it, right? Because this is Wisp, Morning Sun, Flare Blitz, Wild Charge. Not horrible, but I guess there's not too much. I mean, Muck, I guess, could have been decent enough to go into as well. TJ comes in, now with parting shot support. Bronze tanks that absolutely well. Bronze being a pretty good alternative stealth rocket user, because in comparison to something like Golem, which, I mean, Golem would have allowed this team to have a Volt switch in, but Golem would be more vulnerable then to the Will-O-Wisp. Bronze obviously taking that. I mean, still had to lose half its health here, but also Bronze having somewhat of a decent enough matchup against something like Savali fighting, because you can toxic it and trade off hits. So Rave decides to get a safe switch into Rapidash while taking a ton from... Oh my gosh, wait a second. This is Savali ground. I fell for this. That's hilarious. This should be called Savali water. That's funny. Yeah, I was going to say that makes sense for Savali ground, because he needs a Volt switch in as well. And I just want to show how once Swanna gets in here, it could be so dangerous for his team. So I'm thinking TJ was bluffing Scarf here, and Raven thinks that, well, he has a designated Swanna switch in with Corsola. And TJ makes a phenomenal double here. This was awesome. Draco Meteor's kind of being free. Him expecting probably a Muck to come in. Still gets a safe switch in to Shiftry. A good thing about Parting Shot, of course. Oddly enough, goes into Muck, which at +2 easily falls to knockoff. Sacking, forcing him to take a sack here. Rave needs to take a sack. Rave is a anti-Shiftry player in ZU. He hates Shiftry. Anyways, he tries to get a decent enough trade-off instead of risking... well, I guess there isn't really much he could do now that Shiftry was poisoned. This is kind of dangerous, because one of Raven's Shiftry checks was Will-O-Wisp, Morning Sun, Rapidash, and the second Shiftry took the Toxic, Shiftry's in a phenomenal position just to fire off knockoffs and sucker punches. So kind of a team building, not necessarily constraint, but a problem when you have the possibility of the one way you deal with Shiftry offensively to not be available if it does take the Toxic from your Corsola. Shiftry getting one last kill before getting out of here. Obviously did a huge dent. They're huge dent. I mean, really tough to deal with. Savali Dragon, of course, coming out again. Reason not to. Raven revealing that his fan was Scarf. That's okay. It's actually really good, because here comes Buffalint. Obviously stomaching that air slash even without the Parting Shot buff. But Buffalint's going to just put a huge dent in this team. The second TJ gets off this substitute, it's just going to be kill after kill. He's immune to the burn, Earthquake, and Head Charge, or even if this is like Return and Reckless, regardless the matchup, Buffalint with Buffalint just did so much against Rave's team. And having Shiftry and Swanna support at the end is also great. Just normal ground coverage from something that's so bulky and strong. There's just no debating it. So I guess Raven needs to get the trick off. Yeah, that would be the only way to debilitate Buffalint. And the more times he gets like the trick and air slash 50-50 wrong, the more stealth rock damage his fan's taking. So TJ pretty much has this in the bag now. Just want to show how this core can be super threatening and good. And Swanna doesn't even do that much, but if Raven had maybe say more Shiftry support, like with I want to say like Shinotic, or if this actually was Savali fighting, then we would have seen Swanna be even a little bit more threatening, even with Corsola around. These last turns aren't too big, nothing too crazy. A +3. Obviously, Muck is not standing is not doing anything. Raven could have, again, still played around Earthquakes and try to get the tricks off. It doesn't matter. Probably could have just stayed in there too and just go right for head smash. I mean, that's what I would have done, because +3 head smash. I mean, why would you give that up, even if it is resisted? Ronzer comes in at the end, just being able to wall all of these, kind of TJ taking it safe. But I'm just going to skip some of these turns. It's pretty much irrelevant. Fan coming in for the last time, dying to Aqua Jet. Very good. Bay that didn't even need to come in, even after his Dark type fell. I mean, Bay would have got a kill, if it was choice specs. Super powerful offensive game. Kind of problems when you, with Raiden's team, if you're trying to handle like the shift respawn cores with something like Rapidash and Corsola, there's obviously problems to that. The last one I want to talk about is this TTK and heysup game in DPP. Probably one of the coolest DPP games I've seen. And I want to start here at the end because I want to show you the teams, because heysup has this barrel, his normal resist, his Probopass, Spinner, Staryu, what we'll see to be a choice Scarf Glaceon, mixed offensive Magmar, I'm pretty sure, and just a pretty standard Grovyle. Where TTK has Persian, a little bit of speed control and normal power, Sub, Ghastly, great Mon. Pretty sure choice specs Explode Loud, a physically defensive Quagsire, again, what I think was his Rocker, and again another normal resist in Probopass, and the star of the team, Choice Scarf Meditite. So TTK has a very standard DPP lead in Persian, while heysup has anti-meta lead with Barbarrel. Crazy set. I never expected something like this ever. Barbarrel having Protect is pretty good in this tier, because you expect the fake out so you can avoid damage there. I even run Protect on my Soul Rock sometimes, even though it resists fake out, if I want to keep my my sash or item alive. Sometimes I'll do that, or with leftovers. It's a good combo, I should say. And expecting probably either the water type attack or being able, Quagsire being able to stomach a whatever Barbarrel has. He goes right into Quag, but it takes too much from Double Edge. This has to be something like Silk Scarf. Quag taking 60% is ridiculous, and he's in such a bad position because TTK's normal resist, and this is true for a lot of DPP teams, his Probopass, which is obviously is going to get 2 KO'd by Waterfall. So he just has to sack his Quagsire. Really bad position if heysup did have choice specs Lapras, because that was going to get a kill with Hydro Pump. Super dangerous. He has to go Persian again and just, fire off the return, see where heysup is going to probably have a check for this. Of course, Probo comes out, just firing off damage to eventually get a U-turn off into his own Probopass. This is kind of a funny situation where you could kind of assume both to be Shed Shell because Diglett is in this tier, and it's just funny because they both have Magnet Pull as sturdy as a useless ability in Gen 4. But they do decide to trade Earth Powers, even though neither of them were likely to be trapped, because again, Shed Shell, yeah, exactly. Anyways, TTK makes a decent enough play, predicting the Earth Power again into his Ghastly, and decides to kind of scout to see what maybe Probopass had. Probopass maybe trying to go for the T-Wave, it's possible, or just switch out. But regardless, Power Dual Stab, Power Gem and Earth Power were shown to be the offensive attack, so he just goes down to an Energy Ball, and TTK has to kind of make another sack because this is a faster Staryu, of course. This only had 284 speed, and Staryu is really threatening with this Life Orb. With this Life Orb, Hydro Pump, and T-Ball combination. Not much to switch into. You might say Quagsire had a chance, but that's gone. So he just has to drop now 2 of his biggest physical defensive walls and pivots. Persian comes in, hoping to get a kill off now that heysup lost his normal resist, which he does, but you got to keep making trades. So TTK probably thinks that he could just get some damage off on this, maybe sack Persian. He's having a hard time kind of figuring out what to do. I would say get some damage off and then get into his Choice Scarf Metatite, right? If you're expecting this to be Glaceon, or if you're expecting this to be Choice Specs. But you can see Glaceon went first, so Glaceon ended up being heysup Scarf. I did the calc. Persian did live. I think, yeah, I had a very good chance of living that. So Persian goes down after getting some needed chip. And considering Glaceon is faster than Scarf Metatite, TTK is forced to go into his Explode Loud and pray that this tanks, doesn't get frozen or crit. It lives, gets the Specs Hyper Beam off, which is, okay, it works. Magmar comes in, and it's just dangerous. Magmar being faster than Ghastly and having even priority here, the Mag Punch. Super scary. And this is where he has to, TTK has to pray that nothing is going to resist or be immune to the combination of High Jump Kick and Zen Headbutt. Like if this is Sableye here, the last mon, it was GG pretty much. Sableye was going to outstall Ghastly, but he gets the Scarf High Jump Kick off. Needed to guarantee that kill on Magmar. Their barrel comes in, obviously, could just protect, which I think was a bad play because even though it's somewhat possible for him to go to High Jump Kick, I think it was much more obvious for him to switch out. So I think heysup should have just went for the kill. Didn't really matter too much because it looks like TTK was lacking either Sludge Bomb or just didn't go for it. Grovyle comes in, and lastly, Metatite is able to get the late game sweep with Zen Headbutt, just being too strong. It's a one-hit KO on Grovyle even at full health. But Barrel not strong enough with the Silk Scarf Quick Attack probably, or yeah, definitely. And Zen Headbutt secures the KO. So wow, this was a game that I thought TTK had so many opportunities to just totally lose, but came back just because of how threatening Metatite is, Scarf Metatite, and really Scarfs in general in DPP can put in some huge work once when the defensive checks for your team kind of have to be dropped mid-game. So TTK played that really well. Could have been super scary, but it worked out well. And those were some of the highlight matches for the tiebreaker. I had a really great time this ZUPL. I loved building. I loved playing. I think I could have played maybe a little better in some of the games I lost. But again, if you want more content from me, I would suggest giving this top 20 replays a read. And I'll be back next weekend, hopefully, hopefully for the playoff highlights. All right, see ya.